atrophied his stomach and the intestines, so that Baba couldn't eat much. And he had indigestion and burning all the time, retrosternal burning and excess of acidity. And that used to bother him quite a lot. During new life, Baba would be walking and the sandals had caused quite big blisters on Baba's feet, so that it was very painful for him to walk. So that late in the evenings, then we'd soak Baba's feet in hot water and apply some Vaseline. And even with that, with those blisters, Baba would walk miles and miles. When I first came to Baba, I, like so many people who do not know about perfect masters or the avatar, assume that Baba is the avatar and the personification of perfection was beyond being affected by ill health or usual things that affect ordinary human beings. Baba then explained that perfect master assumes the illness, whilst he, being the avatar, must undergo all the physical pain and discomfort and illness which the ordinary human body has to undergo. So through the years, because of the strenuous must work and many fasts that Baba undertook, his digestion was seriously affected, and I treated him accordingly. And naturally, when the damage was done, and the treatment could only be palliative and not a cure. However, in the earlier days, in the year 47, 48, when I first came, Dr. Gohcr was also there, Dr. Donkin was also there. So we three, during any of Baba's serious illness, we three used to consult each other and do whatever we could to alleviate Baba's pain and suffering. There were times when Baba let the illness run its course, but at times, due to particular work, we would find the ailment suddenly and miraculously vanish, and Baba would be his radiant self. This has happened on many occasions. As time came closer, Baba seemed to take on more bindings on himself, visible and invisible. And we used to always feel so helpless, because we could not help Baba in any way. Many times I would say, Baba, what use is my knowledge as a medical person when I cannot do anything to relieve or to help you or to lessen your pain or to lessen your suffering? And Baba would often say, this is the load he alone could carry. So as Baba's doctors, we tried our best, but we could do very little. Whilst at work, either must work or poor work, the universal work or the seclusion, Baba did not spare his body. My work comes first, Baba would say, and he would neglect his body. So many times we'd persuade Baba to eat well, because we knew that the fast was affecting his health very badly. But then Baba would refuse. He'd say that he has to finish his work. All the illnesses that Baba went through were like the illnesses that any man would suffer. But Baba did not complain so much. And Baba would carry on his daily work in spite of his being very seriously ill. He would go to the men mandli and be with them, sit with them, do his work there, listen to the correspondence, dictate whatever the points he had to dictate. Then when he came to the women's side, Baba would go on with his usual routine. Yes, before any mass darshan, a great darshan program, Baba would become very seriously ill. Like in 62 East-West gathering, just before the East-West gathering, Baba was very ill. First in Meherazad, and he would get the same type of spasms, muscular spasms that he got during 68, 69. And at that time I was terribly worried. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I felt I alone could not take on the responsibility of Baba's illness. So I persuaded Baba, just said, Baba, how can I, all the lovers all over the world will ask me, why didn't I give the proper treatment? And I said, I feel very nervous. So in the end, Baba would say, all right, and I would call Dr. Donkin, take his advice. But then Baba would take on this very serious illness. And I noticed that just before as soon as the darshan program started, Baba would be quite normal, absolutely normal. And all that tiredness, that fatigue, although he would look so beautiful and his radiant and glorious self. And the news that he would be sending to the Baba lovers all over the world, saying that Baba was very ill and it was not possible for him to give the darshan, and maybe that the darshan program would be cancelled, and Baba has become very weak. Actually, when they came for the darshan and saw Baba, they thought we were exaggerating, and Baba was not at all ill, and they would come and tell us that, why did you fool us like that? Baba doesn't look ill, he looks so beautiful and he looks so pink, and actually it happened, that's what happened in 69, because all the time in our mind was the great darshan of April and May, and we thought that similarly Baba would get well. Then we were taken quite aback with what happened. 1960, when Baba was on a fast for 7 days, only on water. And then suddenly Baba complained of burning pain on the right side of his face. The next morning we discovered that the whole face, one side of the face was full of blisters, and Baba had developed herpes zoster at that side of the face. And Baba's tongue and the whole inside the throat also were blisters. It was very difficult for Baba to swallow anything. In spite of that, Baba continued with his fast on water. Although we say, Baba, then you need something nourishing and something like milk to grease your fast. And that is Baba, with all that illness, used to have very high temperature. And the pain of the blisters must be excruciating, because we could see how much Baba suffered. We could see this kind of suffering on his face. There was very little we could do. In spite of that, Baba would carry on with his daily routine, his fast on water only, and he would come to the mandli and do his routine work. The blisters on his face were terrible, and later they formed crust, and And after the whole thing had cleared up, Baba had terrible neuralgic pain on that side of the face. So much so that he couldn't expose it to air or draft or any wind. And it was a trigeminal neuralgia, and at the same time, due to the blisters in his throat and on the tongue, it was very difficult for Baba to swallow. But Baba completed his fast of 7 days on water, and then gradually started taking a little nourishment in the form of coconut water. Baba never liked milk because he had already fasted so many times on milk, and even fruit juice he did not like so much. So you take wheat tea and coconut water or dal water. For his neuralgic pain, then there was very little that we could do, so we had to consult Dr. Ginde from Bombay. And that was the first time that Dr. Ginde, Baba permitted Dr. Ginde to come and see him in Meherazad, and he came, and then he gave an injection to Baba, which gave some relief, but it wasn't instantaneous, because first it caused excruciating pain, so much so that when Ginde left, I had to send a message to him that what he had done was cause more pain to Baba than give him relief. After that, after a few days, the pain gradually lessened and Baba was relieved. We had to tell everything that, Baba, all the bazaar chicks or whatever it was, and Baba knew we had to tell Baba whatever we wanted. And when I was taking care of the poultry in Meherazad, I had to get their food, which was a meal, some sort of a meal that was given to the chicken. And one day it finished, and I knew that we had to get it all the way away from Naga, so I was quite desperate. And Baba was at that time talking to some Baba lover from Calcutta, Murthy. And Baba was sitting in Kaka's room on his bed, and Murthy was standing in front of him, and Baba was giving him a discourse on some plane, about some plane, about the 7th plane or something. Well, I didn't wait to listen, I just came from the other side of the house, and I stood in the doorway, and I said, Baba, the chicken feed is finished, and we need some more supplies, without thinking of who the person was with Baba and what Baba was talking about. Baba was so serious that we were talking, and suddenly Baba sort of, had smiled, and he looked at me, and then he looked at the person and says, see, from the 7th plane I have to come down again to this level to find out if the chicken feed is there or not. And then Baba laughed. And then when he went inside, he told Mehra and Mani, see what Goher is like, and she doesn't even wait to listen to what type of conversation I'm having with someone. And she barges in with this type of a talk. Anyway, Baba was quite amused. Like when we were in Dehradun, Baba was complaining of some gritty sensation in his eyes. So they consulted an ophthalmic surgeon there in Dehradun who put some penicillin drops in Baba's eyes. And suddenly Baba became allergic to those drops. Both his eyes were inflamed, was terribly inflamed, so Baba couldn't even open his eyes. And it became so painful. For more than 10 days, Baba was in great, intense pain all day long. We were so fermenting, washing Baba's eyes with lukewarm boiled water. Baba couldn't even open his eyes, and No. No, Baba wouldn't ask us to fast. But when he gave orders, then we would fast. Sometimes. On any day that Baba would ask us to fast, we would fast. In those earlier days, I think in 47 or 48, we had fasted for 1 month, but with 1 meal a day. 1 meal a day. So then when we used to see Baba suffer like that, we used to feel so helpless standing in front of him. We knew that we couldn't do anything to lessen his pain or to take on his suffering. We knew that Baba alone was suffering for all of us. And that used to give us so much pain. But throughout this suffering, Baba looked quite calm, and he wouldn't behave like an ordinary man, or he would patiently bear any pain, or patiently go through suffering, physical suffering, whatever it was. Austin put Baba's leg in a traction, and with that Baba was more comfortable. And we were also sort of very relieved to see that stiff, horrible thing being removed from Baba's person. And for so many days Baba was in traction, Colonel Chatterjee used to come. Then gradually the traction was removed, Baba was made to sit, and then one thing that Baba would do is, Baba would complain of pain, excruciating pain in the leg. And then I'd get frantic and I'd tell Don, call Colonel Chatterjee because Baba is getting terrible pain in his leg, in the joint. And Don would go and call the surgeon, and when the surgeon came, Baba would smile at him as if there is nothing. Then Baba would sit up in bed, dangle his legs free, and Colonel Chatterjee would sort of, look me up and down, meaning to say, why are you so fussy? The patient doesn't seem to be having any pain. And the moment he left, Baba would again complain of pain, and he'd become, so helpless, and he'd say that he can't sit up and he can't move his leg. And I noticed that Baba would do that with me whenever I wanted to consult any outside doctor. Baba would be in pain, but whenever the outside doctor came, Baba would show that he is absolutely all right. There's no pain, there's nothing wrong, the matter with him. The same thing would happen when I would consult Dr. Grant from Pune, who during the last, in December and January, so I used to consult him. And Baba would permit me to consult him and call him to see Baba. I used to tell Grant that Baba is getting these spasms, these muscular spasms in the body. But during the time that Grant would be with Baba, Grant would be sitting by Baba's bedside, I would be also there, Don would also be there. Baba would start giving a long discourses to Dr. Grant without getting a single spasm. He used to look so wonderful. And here I was, when I would come, before I took Grant to see Baba, I would tell Grant that Baba's getting these spasms. Please examine him properly. Tell me what else. I'm giving him such and such a treatment. Please tell me now what else. Would you like to suggest something else? But when Grant went, he did not see Baba get any spasm. So he thought I was just maybe I saw one spasm or some such thing. But I insisted that Baba got continuous spasms. Because Baba was so restless. Each spasm was so painful, so excruciating painful. But when he was sitting there for an hour or two, mind you, in that serious and severe illness, Baba was giving him such a wonderful, beautiful discourse. with all the gestures and Eruch and other Mandli were translating it, interpreting it for Baba. And Baba did not get a single spasm during that time. So Grant thought I was just exaggerating. And here I was so desperate. I would say, may I give? Yes, give it if you think it's necessary. He thought I was just, why should he suggest something which he hasn't seen Baba get, you see? And that used to make me feel so helpless, you see, because I knew, I was so afraid of giving some medicines which I thought whether I should give it or not, because I was not so experienced like these consultants. So I wanted to make sure whether this should be used or not. But then, you see, Baba behaved in this way, and they thought that there's nothing the matter with Baba. What's wrong with Baba, and why am I exaggerating his symptoms? And that's how I used to get so frantic, I just didn't know what was. That's how Baba used to play the trick, because he didn't wish to be treated for us. Let me think. On 30th also, when Dr. Grant came, I was just begging of him. I said, please suggest something for all these spasms, this continuous muscle spasm that Baba is getting. Should we get an oxygen cylinder? Will Baba get a respirator? Let me think. On 30th also, when Dr. Grant came, I was just begging of him. I said, please suggest something for all these spasms, this continuous muscle spasm that Baba is getting. Should we get an oxygen cylinder? Will Baba get a respiratory failure? I was so worried about everything. I just didn't know what was happening. And even on 30th, when Grant came, Baba did not get a spasm. So I was asking him, should I give him, there's a paraldehyde, a drug called paraldehyde, which you give in. If you give an injection, the muscles relax, And I said, shall I give him that injection? He suggested a certain pill, because I was so, kept on asking him, what shall I give, besides the other things that I was. I said, yes, you may give. So, you see, then I thought perhaps it's not right, or should I give it or not? I didn't know what to do, because he wasn't ready. And like that, you see, I feel that Baba did not want to take that treatment, so that the muscle should be relaxed. Of the serious illness, Baba would have the mandli around him, and although Baba, each spasm would give such horrible excruciating pain to Baba, but immediately the spasm was over, Baba would smile and start gesturing to the mandli or to us if he was with the women mandli. He'd make us forget the serious side of his illness, and he'd make the whole incident very light. Because we never realized that he would drop his body. Always at the back of our mind was that Darshan, we thought that Baba would recover from this as miraculously as he would do in the previous years. I think it was in January, and Sarosh's son-in-law, Dr. Hirji Etenwala, when he was told about Baba's condition, that was sometime in January, beginning of January 4th or 5th. And when we said that Baba's blood urea content was very high and Baba was getting these spasms, he thought Baba must be not mentally also very alert, and Baba's breath must be smelling of urea, and Baba's perspiration must be smelling of urea. And when we told him, Eruch and I and the others, when we told him, no, that Baba is absolutely alert, his mind is very clear, and there is no smell of urea at all from his body or from his. He did not believe us, because he thought, because we were so emotionally taken that we would not find anything wrong with Baba. We would just So one evening he came at about 7 o'clock. Baba's brother Adi was there then, and he wanted to see Baba, the Dr. Aiden. And usually once Baba retires to his room, he never sees any visitor or any other person except the men mandli. So a message was sent to Baba that this doctor wanted to see Baba. And that was the first time that Baba permitted him to come and see him in his room, which is very rare. Baba never permits anybody to visit him. Baba was lying on his bed, so this doctor came, and Baba's brother Adi was there, and I was there, and Eruch was there, and someone, I don't think, other mandli must also be there. And here this Dr. Edenwala, he sat down beside Baba's bed on a stool or a chair, and he started a very critical sort of examination of Baba. He went very close to Baba and tried to smell, and Baba at that time was quite alert, very mentally very sharp. Baba was talking to him in gestures, and whilst examining, he found Baba absolutely normal. Even at that time, Baba did not get any spasm. So Baba asked him to I told that doctor to kiss Baba on each cheek, and Baba embraced him. And he was so surprised. When he came out, he told Eruch that it was a miracle, as to why, because he says he could not find anything wrong with Baba. He thought Baba was absolutely alright and there was nothing the matter with him, because he did not find any symptoms.
Any ordinary normal person would have been in a coma
with this
with such high blood urea. Any person would have been in a coma and mentally deranged, whereas Baba was quite normal.
So he knew that we were not really emotionally taken up, that we did not observe any detail of Baba's illness.
It's very difficult to recall all the details. We still remember it very vividly, and yet when we try to talk, it's very, very difficult to remember. Especially during those last 2.5 months. Actually, Baba's health suddenly dropped on 18th of November, didn't it?
Sometime, yes.
It was a drop. It was a sudden change. On 18th or 19th of November. Not the exact date, it must be either 18th or 19th. It was quite alright. And day to day. And the disinterest that he showed, Baba was never like he was during those last 2 months. Complete disinterest in everything. So of course, there were moments when he tried his best to show interest. Even on the last day, he was joking with Padri, but that was only, he was forcing himself so much. When everyone tried their level best to make him interested, to make him laugh, smile, but nothing could make him do that. I remember one incident that was on the New Year's Day. On every New Year's Day, he would get up happy. We would wish him Happy New Year, every one of us. And he would crack jokes, or he would say, come on, play something. And he was so depressed, as if without life on that day. Mani even played Jimri's, and still, you see, any time Jimri's record was played, Baba would always be smiling or happy. But even that didn't make him happy on that day. And suddenly, Mani remembered that they had a Kavali tape, his favorite Kavals. Jaipur Kavals? Jaipur Kavals. There was a small cake. So Mani put that Jaipur Kawal cake. And suddenly, a minute or two later, the picture is so vivid in front of me. Baba was sitting there and there was a 7-colored shawl on his lap. So beautifully, looked such a beauty. And after a minute or two, after that Kawal tape was being played, I suddenly saw his toe just giving that beat of the music. The 2 feet were covered, but the toe came out and the beat of that toe, and I was so fascinated. I felt so happy looking at that toe giving that beat, that rhythm. And there was a smile, there was that happiness on his face, and he really enjoyed, but only for 20 minutes. That tape lasted only for 20 minutes. But he really came out of that depression. No sooner the tape was over, he was again in that mood of disinterestedness.
So,
when Hirji came out of the room.
So when Hirji, that is Dr. Edenwala, after seeing Baba, when he came out of Baba's room, and he told the Mandli that he was quite surprised to find that with such a blood report, having such high blood urea, he expected Baba to be in a comatose condition, or at least not mentally alert, and he was bound to have some smell of urea from his breath and from the perspiration, but he found there was no such symptom in Baba at all. Baba looked absolutely normal to him. And this Dr. Edenwala, who respected Baba but did not accept him as God, when he came out of Baba's room, he knew that Baba was not an ordinary person, and Baba was somebody superior, or maybe he felt in his heart that Baba was really what he says.
Outside people, are you on? I mean, outside world has no idea as to how Baba has suffered physically. Absolutely no idea. Because suppose if there is a Darshan program and Baba is not at all well, we know how ill we knew how he was suffering. But as soon as he came out of his room in front of the congregation to give his darshan, he would change himself. He would look so pink, radiant, happy. The crowd did not have any idea what was going on behind the curtain, behind the scene. Because he wanted the crowd to be happy, because they had come for his darshan, so he wanted to give them. And naturally, if they saw Baba depressed, they would have felt depressed. So Baba didn't want the crowd to be depressed. And we could see the marked change in Baba. He would be so pale, drawn, so much suffering on his face when he was just half an hour before or 5 minutes before in the bedroom or in his room, wherever he was. And the change that we saw in Baba when he confronted, when he was before his lovers, was fantastic. So people have no idea. Even in his lifetime, when Baba's physical body was there, thousands and thousands of Baba lovers were there, but even they don't have idea about what Baba suffered. So they thought Baba was God. And they just took Baba as God. They did know about Baba's suffering because they were told. But then they never saw Baba suffering so much. So likewise, you see, the world does not know what Baba has suffered in silence. He kept silence for 43 years, but he even suffered silently. Even we who were so intimate with him did not understand or did not know the gravity of his suffering. We only knew as much as our human capacity could see and hear and feel. That's all. For so many times Baba used to tell us, you all have no idea what I am going through, how much I am suffering. You all have no idea. And definitely we didn't have any idea. Because what we saw was in itself enough for us all. We didn't have more capacity to feel his suffering more than what we already did. I'll tell you one incident. I remember that so vividly, that in 1959, when Baba was in Meherazad in Pune, one evening he uttered these words. He said, Christ was crucified once, but I am being crucified every moment. He tried to make us understand what it meant. Of course, it was very difficult for us to feel what it meant. I mean, he was suffering every moment. I mean, it was crucifixion for him every moment. So can you imagine for 10 long years how he must have suffered? When he said he was being crucified every moment, it means for 10 long years how he must have suffered till he dropped his body. It's beyond one's conception, or it's beyond oneself to know what it was. Impossible. Impossible to imagine. And the last year was the climax of the whole thing. When he went into that great seclusion. Did Kaka tell you how he was in seclusion? He used to sit in his room alone. And he used to beat his thighs with his fist all the time while he was in seclusion. For months and months and months. Now I forget when he started doing that, but his thighs used to get black and blue. When he used to come out of seclusion, Gohcr used to apply. And Gohcr used to try to heal that black and blue thighs. But then he would do that again the next day. So there was no time for the healing. And in the end, those thighs were like 2 pieces of logs. All black and blue, but even in feeling they were like logs. They were like wood. He explained why he did that. He said he beat his thighs with his fist in order to keep himself down to earth. Because his work was so intense and his work was so great that he had to keep himself down. So that pain of beating on his thighs was keeping him on this earth. And during that period of seclusion, he used to make Eruch recite the Master's prayer and the prayer of repentance on the Mandali side. And Baba was so weak in condition physically because of his seclusion that it was very difficult for him to stand. But still, he used to stand on his feet during those prayers. Sometimes it was so difficult, so Eruch used to tell Baba, Baba, why don't you sit down? I will recite the prayers, why don't you sit down? And Baba would sit down. And then Baba explained that whoever will say these two prayers after I drop my body will be benefited. Of course, then again, even in the women mandali, the prayers were recited. That's why I tell everyone, whomever I can, that these were Baba's words. So we must say these prayers, the Master's prayers and the prayer of repentance every day. He suffered so much for humanity. There are so many things we can't explain, but we know how he has suffered for humanity. Humanity of the future. And today young ones love Baba so much without even coming in contact with Baba physically. I mean, without seeing Baba physically. But he loved you so much. He even loves you now. I mean, why say love you? He loved you so much, he even loves you now. And for you all, he has suffered and worked during his physical lifetime. There are so many other things we can't explain, we can't say. But we know. Now we know why Baba did particular thing, or why Baba acted like this, or why Baba acted like that, or why Baba said this, or why Baba said that. There's so many things. Now we understand that it was for you all. suffered to save you young ones from the drugs. He has worked very hard for that. We know it. And therefore, naturally, those who are connected with Baba are coming to him. You are all his children. What was I going to say? I forgot now. So it's Baba wants you to draw you to him. So how can you do that? With love. And he must give you that feeling of love, joy, happiness, even with tears of joy, everything. So in order to bring you all to him, he has sown the seed of love, which is not sprouting. But then you have a long way to go. Baba will make you understand as time to come. Why Baba says, hold on to my daman? Because there will come times in your life, not one time, times, a number of times in your life, when you will feel like leaving his daman. Because naturally when you suffer, you say, where is Baba? I'm suffering, he doesn't help me. But he's always there with you. So remember, he will always be with you. But that suffering is absolutely a necessity to go nearer to Baba, to understand him more, to love him more. The suffering is absolutely a necessity. But you will not understand at the time. You may be perplexed. Because different people will have different experiences. Some will be able to bear it. Some will not be able to bear it. So at the time when one becomes absolutely helpless and one feels now simply impossible to bear anymore, at the time you must remember Baba's word. Hold on to my tongue. And Baba is always there. You will feel, there will come times when you will feel that Baba has forsaken you, because you won't feel Baba within you. That is your feeling. But Baba is there. It will be your feeling that Baba is not there. But Baba is there. Inside, outside, near you, he is in every particle of atmosphere. He is everywhere. But for a time, he may make you feel that he is not with you or he is gone away somewhere. That's really a feeling that you need to go closer to Baba, to understand him more, to love him more. So when you all say that you don't understand Baba's suffering, yes, today you don't, but you will in time to come. You have to. You must. Because you have a long way to go. We have all gone through it. We have passed the years with Baba. That doesn't mean that we are not going to pass more years in the same way, maybe worse. Because, see, as you are ready, Baba gives you more and more. It's something like this, that you are in school. You study hard, you work hard, and you go into the next grade. And the next, and the next, and the next. But as you go forward and forward, you have to study harder and harder, because the lessons are harder. You go into higher standards. Something like that, even in the spiritual life. As you are ready, Baba will say, now come on, you are ready. Now you must go into the second grade. So you have to study more hard. The lessons will be harder. When you are ready, And when you have passed your examination to second grade, you have to naturally go to the third. And it becomes harder and harder. But then you grow. You also grow rich in experiences, Mama. You also learn to suffer. And when more suffering comes, you're ready for it. You can resist it. So if you leave it to Baba, Baba says that don't worry, be happy. Why does he say that when there is suffering, so much of suffering? How can we be happy? And how can we not be worried? But we can do that provided we leave everything to Baba. Baba says, do what you have to do and leave the results to me. If we leave the results to him, to Baba, then there is less worry. Because our worry is mainly for the result. Think hard. We always worry for the result. But if we leave the result to Baba, then our worry will be less. Baba says, leave everything to me. But we can't, because our mind is just running fast. But still, if we try, we must try. We must try to leave everything to Baba. We must give complete faith in Baba. We must surrender to him. And our faith should be complete. Baba says that your faith should be such that of a child in the mother. A child has so much faith in his mother that even if the mother gives a cup of poison, the child will drink it. Because the child has that much faith in the mother that whatever mother does is for my good. So even a cup of poison, the child will drink because the child has that much faith in the mother. The Baba says that your faith in me should be such that of a child in its mother. You see, all these things we remember at the time. There are times when we just face a wall. We don't know what to do at the time. The difficulties of life, we just can't find a way out. It's just a blank wall. So what can we do at the time? We become so frustrated. But if we remember at the time that Baba is behind the wall, He's there. He's there behind the wall. But He has set that wall in front of you. Because you need to go, you need to experience that feeling, that pain. So, to surrender to God, let Baba do what He feels like doing. When you come at the crossroad or when you confront a blank wall, you just feel like, let Baba do what He wants to do. And He will solve your problem. It may take time. You require patience. You require patience in every walk of life. Don't you? In every walk of life you require patience. So why not patience? When you love Baba so much, when you want to follow Baba, why not keep patient? Baba will give everyone as much as one is ready. And there have been times when people have asked something much more than one could digest. As I said that. But if you can't digest, how can I give you? Once he said, somebody must have asked something. Baba said, you can digest only one loaf of bread. But suppose if I give you 7 loaves of bread, it would be indigestion. So we in our human capacity will ask anything, much more than we can digest, much more than we can take it. But Baba knows that we can't take it. So he will give as much as we can take it. So he knows what is best for us. Since he knows what is best for us, it is best to leave everything to him. Just leave it to him. Well, let Baba do what he wants. So surrendering is so important. Surrendering to him. To leave everything to him. Keeping faith in him. Because faith is very important. Because faith only will make one hold on to his garment. And love will come. Love is always there. Love is Baba's grace. Baba says, you cannot love me. Once he says, you cannot love me. It is my grace that makes you love me. So Baba's grace is already there. So when there are times when you don't feel love for Baba or Baba's love for you, don't worry at the time. Because there have been these problems with many who are coming now, and that, oh, we don't feel Baba, we don't feel his love. And they try to feel his love, grope for his love. His love is there. Because of his love you have come all the way, thousands of miles from the States to here. It is his love that has brought you here. So why worry about not feeling his love? The love is there. But Baba works differently with different people. Some feel his love more, some less, and some don't feel at all. And it worries them. It worries them a lot. I mean, it's the agony for them. It's an agony. But then perhaps that agony will bring them closer to Baba. So Baba knows